Welcome to the Clearwater Bomber Sports Show. I'm Bruce Kaufman and our host is Wayne Dees.
Hi Bruce, how are you this week?
I'm doing great, Wayne. I'm really excited. I think our first episode of the beginning was an excellent.
Yeah, the beginning of the Bombers, the history started in 1938 through the 1940s. And this week, our show is about the 1950s.
Yeah, well, something really exciting happened in 1952, Wayne. I was born in Chicago, Illinois.
That
Can you
exciting?
believe that? Yeah, well, it's really exciting because in 1887, softball got started in a factory in Chicago, Illinois.
Well, tell us about it.
Well, you know, the football game was going on Thanksgiving Day between the Harvard University football team and the Yale University football team. But the alumni in Chicago all gathered at a factory to listen to the results of the game. And when the game was announced, the score, the Yale University alumni threw a glove, a boxing glove at a Harvard student, alumni, and the Harvard alumni picked up a broomstick and batted it back. And one of the sports reporters that was there recording the event said, "Play ball." And so the Harvard and the Yale alumni created a game called softball.
So you're trying to say that softball was invented out of boredom?
Oh, I guess it was either out of boredom or frustration. I guess maybe we'll have to check the score of that game, but I imagine the Yale team lost. That's why they threw the boxing glove at the Harvard team.
Could be.
But that was in 1887, and softball became known by various different names. And in 1930, the American Amateur Softball Association got started. But we started the Clearwater Bomber team as the Blackburn Bombers in 1938, so it wasn't too long after the ASA got started that Clearwater had the Bomber team.
Right, 1938, and like we covered last week through the 40s. So
right, but now we're talking about the 1950s. So what happened in 1950?
Well, in 1950s, the Bombers started with a bang. They went to Austin, Texas. They qualified for the World Tournament, went to Austin, Texas, and they won their first World Championship. You see the picture on the screen, and they beat Tip Top Taylors.
Oh, wait, I remember the Tip Top Taylors as having beaten them in 1949.
Exactly. So the Bombers got revenge. They won the World Championship. I think you've got some names of some of the players on that team.
Well, I have Guthrie, Chestnut, Hancock, K and G Overcash, Hunter, Dudley, Moore, Kane, Brito, Trombley, Truelock, Puleo, Ziegler. The Bat Boys were Ronnie Overcash, David Dudley, and Tom Moore. You can see them in the front of the picture there in the white uniforms, kind of cute looking young boys. But, you know, the thing I noticed about the names, Wayne, is there's a lot of streets in the Clearwater area that are named after these guys.
I didn't notice that, Bruce. That's a good call. And you notice that when the people play with the Bombers, they're usually there for years. I mean, they don't leave because they like winning, and the Bombers had such a good atmosphere and a good place to play.
Well, and the Bombers also had a very excellent support system in Clearwater. They had quite a fan base and a supporting club.
It amazed me when I look back at some of these programs and see how wide the sponsorship range is. That the sponsors, everybody used to know who the Bombers were and wanted to be a part of it as far as sponsors.
That's right, you know, and that makes it fun, and it also makes it community, Wayne. And that's one of the things that was going on in this era with softball. Softball was the community sports team.
It really was, and from what I understand, they used to do 5,000-6,000 people out to a Bomber game because there wasn't a lot of advertising about the game. They put a sign on Drew Street in Cleveland, I believe, and it said Bomber game tonight, and that's all it took.
Yeah. And you know, and the thing is, if with the traffic heading toward the stadium, it's probably faster to drive to the stadium and just go see the game. I mean, hot dogs for dinner? Why not? it just makes it easy and a lot of fun. So the team in 1950 started off in what is going to become a record-breaking tradition of softball. And in 1951, what did they do, Wayne?
Pretty much, it was pretty much a dynasty through the 50s, as you'll see as we go through this. In 1959, the Bombers were in the championship game, but they lost to Midland, Michigan, and I don't know the name of the team, but I couldn't find that in our archives.
Well, we'll have to look that up, Wayne. That was the 1951 championships, but you and I did go on a bus trip with the Clearwater Bomber softball team in the 1990s, and we did go to Midland, Michigan to play in their stadium, and they had quite a stadium, and there was quite a crowd that night for the game that we played against the Midland team. So even 40 years later, softball was still very popular in Midland, Michigan.
These teams that had these major teams like Aurora, Stratford, Connecticut, Midland, Michigan, Detroit, Michigan, they lived a long time, almost as long as the Bombers.
Yeah, and they had basically a lot of community support as well, which made it very, very good for the community. We had a lot of fun up there in Midland, Michigan with that team playing in their stadium. So do we have another Guess Who segment today?
We do. That's coming up at our 10-minute break. The other thing, we went to Midland, Michigan it was either the late 70s or mid 70s, and we played in a tournament up there. We didn't fare too well, but we did qualify and went there.
Right. Well, the interesting thing is that it's a lot of fun playing the sport, and I think that's why a lot of people play. It's not, everybody wants to be on a winning team, but you don't have to win every single time, just as long as you're enjoying the game and having fun with your friends and out socializing, catching up on what's going on with the community and the family, and that's something that's very important.
Well, softball became the slow pitch industry of slow pitch softball became so big that, almost every little town now has a recreation department, has slow pitch softball. And they have a number of divisions. You'd be amazed, from junior softball all the way up to men's major opens, church leagues, industrial leagues, you name it, they got it in slow pitch softball because so many people can play that game.
Right. And, and there's a lot of different aspects of softball here as well. Softball was called softball because they made the ball soft. Initially, the very first game, it was a rolled up boxing glove, and you didn't need gloves to field the ball. The softball, interestingly enough, could be anywhere from 11 inches in circumference, 12 inches in circumference, to 16 inches in circumference, and it was called softball, indoor ball, indoor-outdoor ball, kitten ball, mush ball. And even to this day, there's a very large mush ball league up in Chicago where they play with a 16-inch ball and nobody uses a glove.
Well, they do that down here, and they usually make it a co-ed league. Some of the co-ed leagues in Clearwater and Dunedin and different recreation departments, they actually play that. They make a co-ed league, and you got to have one player is a female, and the next player is a male. And same in the batting order, you got to bat female, male, female, male to play that game. But
nowadays there's a lot of interest in those kind of co-ed sports because husbands and wives like to get out and exercise together, and boyfriends and girlfriends always like to have some interaction with each other. The interesting thing is that softball was basically called indoor ball or indoor baseball because they were thinking that it would be a way for professional baseball players to keep in shape during the off season because they would be playing inside of a factory, and basically it was a gymnasium type sport. And I remember talking to one of the Bomber players who said that Herb Dudley was was one of his coaches, and he would hand him a glove in the gym and say, go stand up against the wall, I'm going to do some pitching practice. And he'd start blazing the ball into this guy's glove, and he'd go, don't move the glove and I won't hit you. And he said, as long as I held the glove steady, the ball never hit me, because Herb Dudley knew how to get it into that glove, and that was pretty amazing.
Well, I heard that was actually a punishment.
Oh.
At Clearwater High School, when Herb was a teacher, if you did something bad, you had to catch Herb and he would throw to him. And believe me, he could make a ball move more ways than I ever thought a ball could.
I know. I saw him pitch a couple times, and I was amazed at how that ball seemed to move wherever he wanted it to go when he wanted it to go there. And so, the question for the batter was then, you're only 43 feet away. Are you going to swing or aren't you going to swing? Because the minute that pitcher let go of the ball, you better get your bat moving, or you weren't going to be able to even get anywhere close to that ball. So that's an interesting aspect of softball. It's closer from the pitcher's mound to home plate than it is in baseball.
46 feet 6 inches. And believe me, they call it fast pitch for a reason, because some of your national pitchers on some of the teams can throw the ball equal to a 90, 95 mile an hour baseball pitch.
Yeah.
It gets on you quick as a batter.
And it's closer. The bases are also closer than they are in baseball as well.
Right, baseball's 90 feet, softball's 60 feet, and so that makes the game just faster. Everything happens a little faster in softball.
Okay, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Jerry from Hot Locks Hair Salon. We are conveniently located at 13414 US Highway 19 in Hudson. I've been a local hairstylist in our community for the last 34 years, 7 of which I was an educator. Our passion is the artistry of hair, and Hot Locks is here to help you achieve your perfect image. You can call us at 727-514-9978.
This is the Clearwater Bombers Sports Show, and I'm Bruce.
I'm Wayne.
And I think, Wayne, it's time for us to go to the Guess Who section.
Yes, that's our section where we have an interview and we do not give you the name, and we're going to wait and see who it is. See if you can guess who it is. At the end of the interview, we will let you know in case you were wrong.
I was in junior high school. The best deal in town was going to see the Bombers play. You could see everybody that was a member of downtown, they would be at the Bomber game. In fact, on Friday, they would put a big cone in the middle of Fort Harrison and Cleveland Street, and it just said, Bomber game tonight. And that's all the advertising they had to do, because people went to see the games, and you had WTAN with Frank Parker and those folks that gave you a full review of what was going on at the ball games. It was the old athletic field that's actually west of Jack Russell Stadium now, and there would be standing room only. It was probably the single most event that was followed in Clearwater in the late 40s, 48, 49, and the up to 54, 55. And it was still a big, big item. The 50s, the 60s, in that era was when John Hunter came to town. Other than that, we had mostly local boys from Pinellas County. It was a real event to go, and as a young fella, watching those fellas play softball is where you got a desire to play softball. It was part of a great youth that I had when I grew up in Clearwater.
Well, Wayne, I think that some people would know that gentleman. He's been a Clearwater businessman for many, many years. Actually, I lived next door to him for 12 years. That was Paul McMullen, and he is the owner of McMullen Oil. And
Yes.
he played for the Bombers for quite a few years.
He was a player and a coach.
Player and a coach, that's correct. You know, a lot of these guys, they would hang on to their career a little bit longer by being a coach on the team. As they were getting older and mentoring some of the younger players, they would stay around and develop that camaraderie and that mentorship. Okay, so now we're in 1952. That was the year I was born, as I said earlier, Wayne. What happened to the Bombers in that year?
Well, 1952 was a down year for the Bombers. They lost in the regional tournament and did not make the World Tournament, one of the few years that they did not.
Oh, that's a shame. But then in 1953, the Bombers made the World Tournament.
They made the World Tournament, and they qualified, and they lose to Briggs Beauty Wear from Detroit, Michigan, who was one of the powerhouses during those years.
Right, that was 1953, but then in 1954, their success turned again, and they were at the World Tournament in Minneapolis, Minnesota, playing for the championship.
Yep, they played for the championship, and I believe they beat Robesto's Cardinals.
They won that year, and that was their second World Championship.
That was their second World Championship, and they did get revenge on Briggs Beauty Wear from Detroit, Michigan.
There you go. Revenge is so sweet.
So that's two.
Yeah. So anyway, we have a picture up from the Clearwater Sun, you know, and there's a lot of Bomber history recorded in the newspaper called the Clearwater Sun. Now, the Clearwater Sun is no longer in existence, but they donated all of their archives to the Clearwater Public Library, and the Clearwater Public Library has quite a bit of Bomber memorabilia saved, and they're sorting through all of the Clearwater Sun articles and pulling those articles up for us for the museum, which is quite exciting.
you can go down there and do research on the Bombers at the library.
Yes. Yes, that's awesome. So then Wayne, in the 1955 World Tournament, it was here in Clearwater, Florida.
They did. They hosted the World Tournament in 1955 in Clearwater, Florida. They hosted 10 or 11, I believe, World Championships over the years.
That's correct. Do we have a picture of the stadium?
I think we have a picture of opening night at the stadium, and that was where Robestos on Friday night, the Bombers drew the Robestos Cardinals. And there it is. Robestos dropped them into the losers bracket. So that is the first game of a tournament, a 22-team tournament. So the Bombers battle all the way back in to the championship series.
All the way through the losers bracket.
All the way through the losers bracket. Now it means that they've got to beat Robestos was a team that went through in the winners bracket. So now it means that they've got to beat Robestos twice.
Right. Yeah.
So the Bombers decided to pitch John Hunter the first game.
All right.
He pitches a game that's really, really close. A guy named Jim Ellis hits a clutch home run and puts them into the championship game. Now they've beat Robestos the first time.
Okay, so now it's basically an even, each team have one loss, and so it's basically super finals.
Right, so now they're down to the super finals.
So who started with pitching for the Bombers in the second game?
Well, the Bombers elected to pitch John Hunter again. He goes 8 2/3 inning.
Wait a minute, softball's only 7 innings long.
Well,
Are we in overtime?
It was tied.
We're
it was
in the
tied.
extra innings.
Right, it
Oh
was
my.
tied. And John has pitched 15 2/3 innings.
More than 2 full games.
More than 2 full games. He kind of lost his touch. Eddie King comes in.
Okay, so
And in the 10th inning, the Robesto Cardinals score twice and win that World Championship.
at home in front of the hometown crowd after coming all the way back through the losers
And the
bracket.
Bombers are in second again.
Oh, that's a shame. Okay, so anyway, we've got a picture here of the Clearwater Bombers losing the title in the final game of the World Tourney here, and that's from the Clearwater Sun. That's a shame. But I'm sure the fans were quite excited. I'm sure there was a lot of good ball play that was during that tournament. And it sort of helped solidify the support of the fans because they saw how good the team was and they got a taste for having the World Tournament here in Clearwater. So in 1956, what happened?
Well, in 1956 at the World Tournament was in Sacramento, California. And the Bombers win their third World Tournament. I think we have a picture of maybe the guys holding the trophy up when they came back home, and then, you know, we may have a picture of that there.
Right.
That's them as they got off the plane coming back from California. But the main
Amazing.
thing is
Very
they've won their
good.
third World Tournament.
Yeah. And, you know, that's still the start of the legacy. So amazing that they went all the way to California to win that tournament, and that made their third one. But I'm sure it was sweet after they had lost in the final game at home the year before.
Well, it's amazing how many times the Bombers finished second and third over the history. And we will cover that here in the future.
Right.
We want to talk about it. We want to give them about 10 years, and you'll be amazed at how many times they finished second and won world championships.
It's interesting, too, how the same opponents keep appearing here and there off and on, and one year they win and another year the Bombers win, and it's sort of fun to see that play out. So we're gonna study that. We're gonna show the interaction of the various different shall I say trophy teams from various parts of the country and how they played out. So in 1957, the Bombers were hosting the World Tournament again here in Clearwater, Florida.
Yep, they held it at Clearwater again here. I think we have a picture of the 57 team. and some guys, that's the opening night of the tournament, shown there.
And that's at the Jack Russell Stadium. You notice how big the crowd is there?
That's at Jack Russell Stadium. Not too many empty seats.
Not too many at all that I can see. But it's very interesting that the city showed up, and here's the 1957 team picture. You notice it's going to basically be a team made up of the Spell and King and Ellis, Sprintall, Forbes, Smith, Ridley, Fernandez, Chestnut again, Dudley, Hancock, Mine, B.B. Nixon, Mason, Lewis, and McMullen.
McMullen was a trainer, by the way. That wasn't
He
Paul.
was the trainer? Okay, all right, that's good. So anyway, this was the fourth championship team, and this was the 1957 Clearwater Bomber team at the World Championships here at home.
They finally won one at home.
Finally.
Because over the years, they haven't had a lot of success at home.
There aren't too many teams that have won 4 world championships or 4 national championships, let alone having a chance to win one at home.
You're correct. And
yeah.
This was the start of the Bombers dynasty.
Right.
They started dominating fast pitch softball.
So as we come back, we're gonna go to break right now, but we'll come back in just a few minutes.
Hi, my name is Joe Stalteri. I'm one of the owners of Complete Care Systems. At Complete Care Systems, we do carpet cleaning, upholstery cleaning, tile and grout cleaning, tile and grout sealing, wood floor and laminate floor deep cleaning, as well as stripping and waxing of linoleum and vinyl floors, and a whole lot more. We also run daily deals and special, which you can find at CompleteCareSystems.com, or simply call Tricia up at 727-364-5158, and she'll answer all your questions and give you over the phone free estimates. Or she'll send me out to your home or office to give you an on-site free estimate. At Complete Care Systems, we don't cut corners, we clean them.
Hi, I'm Jerry from Hot Locks Hair Salon. We are conveniently located at 13414 US Highway 19 in Hudson. I've been a local hairstylist in our community for the last 34 years, 7 of which I was an educator. Our passion is the artistry of hair, and Hot Locks is here to help you achieve your perfect image. You can call us at 727-514-9978.
This is the Clearwater Bombers Sports Show. I'm Bruce,
I'm Wayne.
and we're back talking about the 1950s Clearwater Bombers. We just were talking about the 1957 team that won the 4th championship for the Clearwater Bombers, and it was here at home, Wayne. So what happened in 1958?
Well, in 1958, the World Tournament was in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And Robesto's Cardinals, there's them Cardinals again.
Yeah.
Robesto's Cardinals won the championship.
Well, you know, the interesting thing is Minneapolis, Minnesota is a beautiful place to be as long as it's summertime, maybe early fall. Anything after that, it gets a little bit cold.
Does it?
When do they play the World Championships?
Usually in around September is when they usually play it. And it can vary a couple of weeks, but normally I believe it's in September.
Well, that probably means that there's still good weather in Minneapolis, but you never know up there. It gets cold at night very quickly.
Well, I believe we talked about Midland, Michigan one time, and that year that we went up there, it was pretty cold. I know I had on a couple pair of flannels and a couple of undershirts, baseball type undershirts.
Well, I remember I got my money's worth out of my Clearwater Bomber jacket the week that we were up in Wisconsin and Midland, Michigan, that area, because at nighttime it was very cold. And of course we were playing in tournaments, and the games were all day long, but they went into the evening. And of course the local crowd would show up for the evening games. And that was always fun to see a large crowd watching a good fast pitch softball game.
And, you talk about the Bombers filling up Jack Russell Stadium. Well, I saw some pictures of like when the Bombers played Aurora or the Bombers would play Robesto's. It was standing room only.
Yeah, for sure. So anyway, the Robesto's Cardinals show up again, but then in 1959, Clearwater, Florida is hosting the tournament again.
Right. They got Eddie Moore and them, I believe, wanted to host a lot of tournaments. They thought they could win. This is opening night down in Clearwater at Jack Russell Stadium.
This is a different view of the stadium. This is on the first base side. The last shot looked like it was behind home plate. And look at the crowd again, Wayne. It's all seats are filled.
Standing room only, but unfortunately, again, the tournament is in Clearwater, and the Bombers hit a rough patch, and they let Aurora, Illinois, who was another one of the powerhouse softball teams in the ASA Men's Major Division, beat them.
Yeah, that was the Sealmaster team from Aurora, Illinois, and they have played for many, many years and were one of the Bombers' favorite or infamous opponents.
They were infamous.
For sure. The interesting thing is, as I've said before, the Clearwater Bomber fast pitch softball team made Clearwater famous before Winter was a Dolphin.
Well, I believe that the Clearwater Bombers probably were one of the best ambassadors that the city of Clearwater ever had. In fact, it was bigger than the Phillies, the Philadelphia Phillies that were known to train in Clearwater. The Bombers were actually bigger, and I've heard stories of people being worldwide, like in New Zealand and other countries, and people would come up to them. They would have their Bomber jacket on.
Right.
People would come up to them and go, "Hey, is that the Clearwater Bombers?"
Yeah, for sure. And I've been wearing my Bomber jacket in places like Germany. And of course we have, NATO bases there. And so there's American military people in various different places around Germany. But quite a few people would walk up to me and say, "Oh, Clearwater Bombers, I know the Clearwater Bombers, they play softball."
Well, yeah, Doug Mason, most people that are affiliated with the Bombers know Doug. He's a Hall of Famer. He played, I think, from 49 to 74. Don't hold me to that, but I believe that's a number of years. And he was telling me a story that the ASA took him and some of the All-Stars, and they actually sent them through Europe on I believe it was like a 2-week or a 14-day tour, 10 days, something like that. And they actually were teaching the people how to play softball. So that, that was an ambassador trip that the Bombers were involved in.
Right. Well, the International Softball Commission sets the standard for the rules for softball, and they represent 110 different countries that play softball.
Well, the ASA and ISC are a little bit different, pretty much the same though. They're competitive organizations. The ISC is the International Softball Congress,
Right.
but they both have their world tournaments.
Right.
So to win either one, you are against top-notch men's major fast pitch competition
Yeah, from around the world.
from around the world.
And the amazing thing is that the Clearwater Bomber team has created such a legend, such a reputation, that even to this day, they are considered the epitome of men's fast-pitch softball.
They are the New York Yankees of men's fast pitch softball. They created a dynasty. We went through the 50s here. They've won, if I'm not mistaken, four
times.
world tournaments.
Right.
And it did not stop. Our next show is going to be on the 60s, and you're going to just see more and more domination of fast pitch softball by the Clearwater Bombers.
Well, do we have any trophies that we have here at the state?
We do. We've found, I believe, 5 world championship trophies. We don't have them here. You're talking about the ones we have here. We're putting our museum together, we have found 5 world championship trophies.
Of the 10.
We're hunting 5 of the 10. We're hunting the rest, and slowly but surely, I think we may find a couple of more. I'm afraid that 2 or 3 or 4 of them may have been destroyed, and just people holding them and moving them around.
Right. Well, the interesting thing is, over the course of the last 50 years, the city of Clearwater has had several major building projects, and they've torn buildings down and built buildings up, and the trophies have been moved from displaying in one building to being stored in another building. And so we're in the process of reclaiming those trophies. One of those trophies had been on display at the Plum House, which was the Clearwater Historical Society Museum, until it was recently closed to move the Clearwater Historical Society Museum to the South Ward School. And so that, in talking about our museum project, Wayne, give us some updates on what's happening with the museum.
Well, the Historical Society is opening their branch of the Clearwater Historical Society now at the South Ward School.
Right.
The Bombers are supposed to be sharing another building. There's 3 buildings there. And we are in building number 2.
Okay.
And our museum, the Bomber History Museum, is supposed to be on the 2nd floor, and we are working towards opening that here in the near future.
Right. In fact, this last weekend, Wayne, you and I and several other people moved quite a few pieces of equipment up to that 2nd floor in that 2nd building at the South Ward School, and in preparation for opening the museum sometime in the near future. And we're going to probably have a board meeting soon and hopefully pick a date and start announcing when we're going to hopefully open.
Should be coming soon. We did, my back is sore from moving all that stuff, but we've had a lot of people donate stuff to us, glass cases, display cases, chairs, tables, and things like that, which will all be used when we put the museum together. We have quite a few items to display, everything from those World Championship trophies and many, many trophies that were not World Championship trophies. Southeastern Regional Champs, District Champs,
Right.
State Champs.
Right.
I mean, there is a warehouse full of trophies, and we do need to start getting some of those restored. We do have a program, which Bruce will tell you about down towards the end of the show, where you can help us do that.
Yeah. Restoration sponsors get to have their name on a plaque that's put onto the trophy. indicating that the trophy was restored by this person or this family as a sponsor. We have a couple of them that have already been restored, and we're looking to restore a few more. We're going to show you a couple after a break. We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Jerry from Hot Locks Hair Salon. We are conveniently located at 13414 US Highway 19 in Hudson. I've been a local hairstylist in our community for the last 34 years, 7 of which I was an educator. Our passion is the artistry of hair, and Hot Locks is here to help you achieve your perfect image. You can call us at 727-514-9978.
Hi, I'm Bruce Kaufman, CEO of Sunrose, the Bible Educational Game Company, and co-game creator of the board game Jubilee. Jubilee is a fun 6-directional spelling crossword game about Bible information. Each Jubilee card asks you to spell something from the Bible on the space-age crossword board. In Jubilee, you don't need to know the answers, you can look up the answers. In Jubilee, you can draw any letters that you need. You can play 11 different games with the Jubilee game board. Visit our website, sunrosegames.com, and order your Jubilee game now. This is the Clearwater Bombers Sports Show. I'm Bruce.
I'm Wayne.
And we're talking about the Clearwater Bomber fast pitch softball team legacy. We've been discussing the 1950s, And we were talking, Wayne, about the reconstruction project for our trophies, and we have several trophies here. One of the regional type tournaments was the Blue-Gray tournament that's held in Baton Rouge, Louisiana? Montgomery, Alabama. Yeah. And this is one of those trophies that the Bombers won one year in 1997.
This guy was batting off of Herb Dudley. See, he ain't got no bat.
Yeah.
Herb Dudley took it out of his hands.
Well, it looks to me like we need to find the bat that goes here, but the trophy needs just a little bit of work. But it's
What year was that?
This was the 1997 team. I think you were on that team.
No.
Well, I was the
Past my day.
I was the chairman of the board. I got one inning in one game that year, but I spent most of the time enjoying watching the team play and win. In that tournament, we won, and it was a lot of fun.
Well, this tournament was kind of a precursor a lot of times for the national tournament. It was a good tournament. Teams through Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia would come to this tournament. It was good quality fast pitch softball. And the Bombers liked going to that tournament because, like I said, it was kind of a pre-practice, a pre-tournament to get them geared up for the World Tournament.
Well, not only did the Bombers like to go to that tournament liked the Bombers to come, because if they could tell some of the other teams in the area around the country that the Bombers were coming, those other teams would come to kind of get some practice off the Bombers too.
Yeah, there was quite a few teams in those tournaments. Like I'm thinking 20, 22 teams at these tournaments.
Right. And it was nonstop softball the whole weekend.
It was nonstop softball.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Now let's look at that other trophy.
Yeah, okay, let's look at this one right here. This one here is a World Championship trophy, and as you can see, it needs some figurines on top of the balls over here. It needs to have the statue on top of the ball up at the top of the trophy replaced. The metal loving cup needs to be repolished, and the wood needs to be restained and revarnished. And so we're looking for a sponsor to help us recondition that trophy for the tournament.
Right,
for the museum.
We want to put this on display.
Right.
It's a World Championship trophy. It's one of the 5 that we have.
Right.
And we have found a metallurgist that has restored one for us already and did just a fantastic, beautiful job. We will have that trophy on here in the near future so people can see it.
You think maybe we could have that one here next week to show people the quality of the restoration project?
It's a possibility, and also we'll have some actual pricing. We've got to get this down to the metallurgist, let him take a look at it. But maybe we'll have the other one on next week and show you what he did.
Right.
Which is just, he brought it back like the day that the Bombers picked it up at the ball field.
And one of the things I'm looking forward to too, Wayne, I went one time to the ASA Museum in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I want to go back because I want to see what else they have on display. I know, for example, the Clearwater Bomber team has 22 players that are on the Hall of Fame wall there, and of course I'm sure that the ASA has pictures of all the different trophies that we've won over the years at the World and National Championships.
Well, the Bombers have a lot of floor space at the ASA Hall of Fame.
Right.
When you spread it out with those 22, 24 players, which we will have a show on the Hall of Famers in the near future, but they're beautiful displays of their uniforms and some of their cleats, gloves. Some of the old gloves are just amazing. They don't even look like a baseball glove, but anyway, it's just beautiful displays.
Well, the interesting thing is that in order to get nominated and then elected to the Hall of Fame, you have to put together a scrapbook that records your career as an amateur softball player, and it obviously has to support them picking you to be one of the Hall of Fame members.
You have to be sponsored by someone that, as you said, puts together a complete portfolio of your history. And not everybody makes it, but The Bombers have had so many great players, and like the Weldon Haney's that was MVP of the World Tournament 3 or 4 times, batting averages, and we will go over that show when we have the Hall of Fame. But it's incredible what these guys hit, what they fielded, what they pitched.
Right. And to be honest with you, I'm looking forward to putting together a trip to maybe take some of the Clearwater Bomber fans on a bus trip out to Oklahoma City to see the ASA Museum and visit and look at some of the Bomber memorabilia that's there. And I'm sure being able to look at those scrapbooks and get some of the history out of those scrapbooks will be important for our museum as well.
Well, I've never visited there, but I would love to go. So, maybe that's a possibility.
Well, we also want to talk about joining the museum as a member of the Clearwater Bomber Legacy Educational Project. And we ask $25 per year, $50 for a couple or a family. And we also have corporate sponsors that can sponsor for $100. They can be a corporate sponsor. And we try to get together several times a year in what we call Bomber Blasts, and we're going to have one in the very near future. We're going to announce that. So if they want to join, they can contact us via our website.
They can join our website. As you said, it's $25 a year. That funds helps us keep the paperwork going, the ink for the printers, the mail outs, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. And so for those of you who want to support the museum project and want to keep the Bomber legacy alive, consider joining as a member of our club and helping us to preserve trophies and preserve memorabilia and research newspaper articles, magazine articles. The one other fundraiser that we have that's been very successful is the Bomber Golf Tournament. Tell us about the golf tournament, Wayne.
That's an annual golf tournament that we had. I believe we're about our 6th one right now. And you can call this number that's on your screen right now to get involved, sponsor a team as an individual player or whatever. This year, the tournament will be at the Wentworth Country Club on Saturday, May 19th. And it's 11 a.m. registration, 12:30 tee off. We have a longest drive, we have a closest to the pin, and we have a putting contest. And those split 50-50 with the winner of those contests.
And it's always a lot of fun because we have a lot of Bomber players that come out and golf with us. We have a lot of local business owners that come out and golf with us. We even have some of the Lady Bombers come out and help us with the tournament. So it's always a lot of fun. We have good prizes for the winners, and it's a great time of fellowship. We are trying to promote some of the local sports activities in the area, Wayne.
Right, one other segment that will be coming on our show, we're trying to get the high schools, even college, and the little leagues and girls fast pitch softball involved. And in future shows, maybe within a couple of shows here, we'll have actual segments of where we've gone out and interviewed fans and some of the little league players or high school players. And that's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, I think so. I know over the years, having been a father and gone to a lot of the little league games, and watching the kids play, they play with passion. They enjoy playing.
They do play with passion, and it's amazing how you watch a kid 8 or 9 years old, and then time he's 10 or 11 years old, he just gets better and better and better. And it's amazing how good some of these little ball players are.
Right. So the interesting thing is we'll probably be looking at some footage for some of the boys playing Little League baseball. And we'll probably be watching some footage of some of the girls playing softball. And you notice the difference between the two balls. And, this one here is supposedly 9 inches in circumference, and this one is either 11 or 12 inches in circumference. So it doesn't appear to be a lot, but it is.
It is, and I believe the girls softball is a little bit smaller than that. I don't know what the
might be.
circumference is.
Where
But they play with a slime colored ball.
It's a fluorescent green. Okay, so let's recommend that people go to our website, www.clearwaterbombersinc.com. Check out that website. Wayne, tell us a little bit about what they might have on there.
Well, the website has a number of the players, and they're categorized from the 1940s up to 2000. We also have game action shots. We have merchandise. I'm wearing my T-shirt, the Bomber T-shirt that we sell on there. This is
And we have
pennant.
bomber pennants that you can hang in your business or your bedroom, wherever you like it.
We've got hats, and we have a beautiful wall clock that is on our website that features a Clearwater Bomber logo on it.
Right. Okay, and if you would contact that number, if you want to volunteer to help us, 727-678-1490. Just call. If you get an answering machine, leave a message and say, I want to volunteer to help with the Bomber Project. This is Bruce and Wayne. This is the Clearwater Bomber Sports Show. Sorry, Wayne.
That's okay.
See you next week.